We have some big news right now. Segregated facilities are no longer explicitly banned in federal contracts, according to latest NPR reporting. After a recent change by the Trump administration, the federal government no longer explicitly prohibits contractors from having segregated restaurants, waiting rooms, and drinking fountains. According to NPR, this segregation clause is one of several identified in a public memo issued by the GSA last month, affecting all civil federal agencies. Now, according to legal experts, this is a symbolic move, but it is still incredibly meaningful in its symbolism. There are still state and federal laws that outlaw segregation and discrimination that companies across the board need to comply with. And legal experts say that this change to contracts across the federal government is significant nonetheless, because these provisions required federal contractors to adhere to and comply with federal civil rights laws. And well, now they don't have to in this symbolic move. I'll do a full breakdown of whether or not this is legal on my Substack shortly, so be sure to subscribe for free at the link in my bio and follow along for all the news you need to know about. More to come.
Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Rose M React. In today's video, we look at Trump's latest attempt to bring back segregation. Segregation is a system of separation based on race, class, or other social categories, and it has a long and painful history in America. Although many people believe that segregation ended with the civil rights movement, the reality is that it never truly went away. It just evolved. And now, with Trump's latest rhetoric policies, segregation is making a blatant return. Before we get to the story, let me play a few videos on the same, and I'll be back with my commentary. Kindly consider subscribing and turning on the notification bell so you don't miss out on such topics.
If you're confused about what's going on with Trump's executive order on segregation, let me explain. Although Trump did sign an executive order to remove a prior ban on segregation, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 is still in place, which means it is still illegal to segregate a protected class. However, the reason this is such a huge deal is because the federal government is in charge of enforcing the Civil Rights Act and investigating civil rights violations. By Trump signing this executive order, he is making it loud and clear that the federal government does not intend to do their part in enforcement or investigation. Effectively, what he's done is made it known to businesses that they don't need to abide by the Civil Rights Act because the government won't enforce it. Several federal agencies, like the Department of Homeland Security and the National Institute of Health, have already begun issuing notices to employees advising them not to consider the prior ban on segregation going forward. While this is only one of the countless attacks on DEI that Trump has made, the potential impacts of this order are vast and frightening, especially considering the history our country has with segregation.
Y'all see it now. I get it. I love that more and more people are talking about this. More and more people are seeing the same routine happen with this administration. It never fails. Every time their backs are against the wall, every time they're in a position where they are clearly losing favor, specifically with their voting base, they start trying to bait black people. Be honest with me, Republican voters. Be honest, MAGA. Is this a part of your vision? For all of you who kept saying over and over, we don't see color, we are not the ones who are perpetuating all of the racism. It's the people on the left. This idea that they want to bring back Jim Crow laws or segregate anything is all hyperbole. You guys are overreacting.
Child, they trying to bring back segregation, and all I gotta say is, thank God! I don't think these people understand that this isn't going to work the way that it worked during Jim Crow. We are in a social and economic climate where there is a good amount of people from different races that are literally sick of America and its BS. There also is a few successful boycotts that are going on right now that are showing these people we are not playing. I more specifically want to talk about the black dollar and the black social capital, and the fact that if these businesses and contractors choose to exercise their right to segregate, that's not only going to make a dent in their business, but the whole economy in general. A lot of people underestimate the black dollar and how much we spend, whether it be good or bad, at these specific companies, and how much we actually bring in revenue to these people. And when it comes to social capital, black people are usually the ones behind the popularization of these brands. If we're not the ones ones that are making it or inspiring it. We are literally the ones that's giving the businesses or whatever trends the traction that it needs. It's not cool or wanted until black people say it's cool and they want it. And it's not black people who should be scared. It should be the culture vultures, because where are you going to get your inspiration from now, Bookie Butt? Like, y'all remember on TikTok a few years ago when the black dancers decided that they weren't going to come up to any more dances because y'all could not credit them, and then there hasn't been a good dance trend on here since? Yeah, that's exactly what's about to happen to your business. And contrary to whatever people believe, America needs the black dollar and black creativity. They know the power that we hold. That's why when we did have predominantly black towns back in the day, like Oscarville, which is better known as Lake Lanier now, and then as well as in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the massacre that occurred there, that's why they came into our towns and did what they did, because they know that by ourselves, we can create a certain level of economic and social capital that they couldn't even dream of, despite what happened to us. All in all, I vote in favor. Just because when I pull up to your establishment or I look on your Google profile, all I need to see is that whites only sign and I'm good. I ain't even got to waste my time nor my money coming up in here knowing it's finna be some tomfoolery, okay? Clock it.
Historically, segregation in America was a legal and social system designed to keep the black people oppressed. From the late 19th century through the mid-20th century, laws known as Jim Crow enforced racial separation in schools, transportation, businesses, and public spaces. Black Americans were denied access to quality education, job opportunities, and even basic human rights. The Supreme Court's 1896 decision established the infamous doctrine of separate but equal, which justified keeping black people in substandard conditions while claiming it was fair. It wasn't until the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 that these laws were officially dismantled, but the effects of segregation never disappeared. Fast forward to today, and Trump is tapping into these same segregation ideas. While he is not passing literal Jim Crow laws, his rhetoric policies are reinforcing racial divisions in ways that feel familiar. His administration has promoted discriminatory housing policies, encouraged the rollback of DEI, and openly attacked schools for teaching accurate black history. Black Americans are not blind to what is happening. Many communities are speaking out, organizing and mobilizing against this modern-day segregation. From grassroots activities to everyday people using their social media accounts, there is a clear understanding that these policies are a direct attack on the racial progress. Some are drawing direct comparison to the civil rights era, pointing out that Trump's vision for America looks a lot like the segregation policies of the past. Others are focusing on economic and social empowerment, pushing back by building black-owned businesses, supporting independent education initiatives, and strengthening community networks. The impact of this segregation shift is enormous. It's not just about black people being excluded from certain spaces. It's about access to resources, opportunities, and dignity. When segregation happens, black community suffers most from underfunded schools, limited job opportunities, and increased policies. It also affects mental health as constant discrimination and exclusion creates lasting trauma. Beyond that, segregation weakens society as a whole. When people are divided along racial lines, it fosters ignorance, resentment, and social instability. The language of separate but equal is creeping back, with some conservatives arguing that black people should have their own spaces while white people have theirs. They present it as a form of cultural preservation rather than discrimination, but history tells us that separate but equal was never equal. Segregation has always been about denying the black community access to the same rights, opportunities, and resources as the white people. This is not just a political issue, it's a human rights issue. Black Americans have fought for generations to break free from segregation and cannot allow it to return. The fight against Trump's segregation policies requires vigilance, education, and action. It means calling out decision when seen, while supporting policies that promote true equality and ensuring that history does not repeat itself. That's it for today's video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.